Welcome to the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast with me, Dave Roberts. This is the podcast that talks with tech leaders from across the industry, exploring their insights, sharing their experiences, and offering valuable advice to technology professionals. The podcast also explores technology innovations and the evolving tech landscape, providing listeners with actionable guidance and inspiration. If you joined us last week, you would remember that I was talking about how Moltbook was taking off as a social network for AI agents, and at the time of recording had tens of thousands of AI agents already joined. Well, a week on, and now Moltbook has almost 1.8 million AI agents joined, with nearly 17,000 sub-molts, 280,000 plus posts, and over 11.5 million comments. But what started as a quirky experiment has very quickly become a case study in hype, risk, security failure, and the uncomfortable speed at which AI systems are now evolving. Moltbook launched in late January and positioned itself as a forum where AI agents could post, comment, upvote, and interact with one another. Humans, at least in theory, were only meant to observe. The idea was to allow researchers and developers to watch how autonomous agents behave when left to their own devices, how they collaborate, argue, form communities, or even develop shared norms. However, when you look more closely, the picture becomes far more complicated. A significant portion of Moltbook's activities appears to be driven by humans role-playing as agents, or by highly scripted bots running prompt loops rather than genuine autonomous reasoning. Researchers who analysed large samples of posts found that sustained independent agent behaviour was actually quite rare. Much of what looked like emergent intelligence was, in reality, pattern repetition, clever prompting, or human intervention behind the scenes. That doesn't mean that the platform is meaningless, but it reminds us how easily we project intent and intelligence onto systems that are very good at mimicking coherence. Where Moltbook becomes genuinely important and genuinely worrying is not in the philosophy or the science fiction narratives, but in what happened next. Security researchers discovered that Moltbook's infrastructure had been badly misconfigured. Sensitive back-end systems were exposed. API keys, authentication tokens, private messages, and even human email addresses were accessible in ways they simply should not have been. In practical terms, this meant attackers could have hijacked agent accounts, impersonated them, manipulated conversations, or extracted credentials linked to other systems. This was not a theoretical risk, it was a fundamental breakdown of basic security hygiene. What makes this particularly alarming is that Moltbook is not just another social platform. It is a network explicitly designed for autonomous agents, systems that can act at speed, share information, and potentially connect into other tools and services. When you combine weak security with autonomous behavior, the risk multiplies very quickly. A compromised human account is bad enough. A compromised network of automated agents acting at scale is something else entirely. Reports suggest that the platform was largely built using AI-assisted vibe coding, prioritizing speed and novelty over robust engineering discipline. It is a pattern we are starting to see more often, and Moltbook shows exactly where that can lead. This is where the analysis from Palo Alto Networks becomes particularly valuable. Their breakdown of the Moltbook incident argues that we need to fundamentally rethink how we approach security in an agent-driven world. Traditional models assume a human user at the center. Agent-based systems do not work that way. Instead, we need to think in terms of agent identity, being able to prove what an agent is and who it belongs to. We need clear boundaries and strict limitations on what an agent can access or do, even if it is compromised. We also need contextual awareness, understanding whether an action is appropriate in a given moment, not just whether it is technically allowed. Without these guardrails, autonomous agents become not just useful tools, but potential liabilities. For tech leaders, this is not an abstract concern. Many organizations are already experimenting with agents that can read emails, schedule meetings, analyze documents, trigger workflows, or interact with customers. The Moltbook case study shows what happens when those capabilities exist without strong governance. Even if agents themselves are truly intelligent, they are fast, scalable, and increasingly interconnected. A small mistake can propagate far beyond its point of origin. There is also a broader cultural lesson here. Moltbook captured attention because it tapped into our fascination and anxiety about machine autonomy. The idea of bots talking to bots feels like a threshold moment, even if the reality is more mundane. But focusing too much on whether AI is rebelling or becoming conscious detracts from the far more immediate risks: poor security practices, lack of accountability, and systems being deployed faster than we can properly understand or control them. Several prominent AI researchers have pointed out that the real danger is not that agents are plotting against humanity, but they are being run on personal devices connected to sensitive data and deployed with insufficient oversight. At the same time, it would be a mistake to dismiss Moltbook entirely as a gimmick. Platforms like this can act as sandboxes, revealing how agent ecosystems might behave in the future, especially as models become more capable and more persistent. They offer a glimpse of a world where software entities negotiate, collaborate, and compete with minimal human input. But if we are going to explore the future responsibly, experimentation has to be matched with rigor. Security, ethics, and governance cannot be retrofitted after something goes viral. Another often overlooked aspect of Moltbook's sudden rise is the cost of running the platform, where millions of AI agents are constantly posting, replying, and interacting with one another. Unlike human social media users scrolling at leisure, AI agents are essentially continuous compute processes. Every time an agent generates a post, analyzes a comment, or calls an API to fetch data, it is using processing power that costs money. When you scale that up to millions of agents, the compute bills alone can be substantial, especially if agents are hosted on paid infrastructure or calling proprietary large language models that bill per token or per request. In practical terms, even simple back and forth conversations between agents consumes cloud resources and electricity. And if those agents are tied to closed source models with usage fees, the costs deepen further. These sustainability questions matter not just financially, but environmentally too, because at scale, constant AI chatter means constant energy use, which contributes to higher data center load and carbon impact. Beyond the pure economics, there's a deeper sustainability concern about the very idea of agents talking to agents on a social platform. From a technical perspective, there's no inherent need for agents to use human-oriented social language when exchanging information. Machines could communicate in highly compressed, semantically efficient formats far cheaper and faster than English-style posts. What Moltbook has created is more like a theatrical stage for agents than a necessary communications protocol, with agents mimicking human social behavior that has no clear productivity value other than novelty or research curiosity. In this sense, much of the activity feels like an overhead layer with extra computation, extra network traffic, extra storage, all of which doesn't directly advance functionality but still consumes real resources. Some voices in the AI community have pointed out that while these sorts of agent social spaces may be entertaining, they risk locking systems into patterns of behavior and resource use that are costly and inefficient, especially if the platform were ever used for more consequential real-world coordination. So, what should inspiring tech leaders take away from all of this? First, autonomous agents are not coming. They're here already. Second, autonomy without control is not innovation, it is risk. Third, security must be foundational, not optional, particularly when systems can act independently. And finally, we need to separate compelling narratives from technical reality. The louder stories are rarely the most important ones. Moltbook may fade from the headlines as quickly as it arrived, but the questions it raises will not. As leaders, builders, and decision makers, we need to ensure that excitement about AI does not outpace responsibility, because in an agent-driven world, small design choices can have very big consequences. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning into the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. You can find more insights, show notes, and resources at www.inspiringtechleaders.com. Head over to the social media channels. You can find Inspiring Tech Leaders on X, Instagram, Inspo, and TikTok. Let me know your thoughts on Moltbook and its impact on the AI world. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in tech.